Yeah.
Well, welcome. Thank you guys all for being here. So, I have a couple people here from Paradise Bay.
That's awesome. They're home.
And my friends from the island and pickleball and knowing you, I remember you. Do you remember me?
Kind of. You
Sherry.
came to the block parties?
Yes. And pickleball.
And pickleball. Oh, 3 years back.
My memory is where it used to be.
Who's this, right?
Yeah.
Sherry stayed with me a lot several years back before she had her own place. Yes.
Yeah,
Used to stay in Key West.
I did.
Yeah,
Yep.
super.
Yep. So, well, you'll know me. My name is Sherry. I'm so excited to be here today. So thank you guys all for coming and supporting me. A little bit about me, as I have 3 kids of my own. I have 3 bonus children that I call mine, and then I'm a me to 14 grandchildren, which is amazing. Anybody here have little kids? Grandkids?
Yeah, the one great tour.
Yeah, aren't they the best? I love helping people any way that I can. I've done lots of mission trips internationally and locally. We all probably did a little bit of mission work last year after the hurricanes and helping each other out. So, I love the beach. I love Florida. I love my toes in the sand. I love sunsets. I became a life coach. I'm a speaker. I have spoken a couple times. I've been on several podcasts, and I'm going to be starting one of my own pretty soon. But today I want to talk about the power of our thoughts. Do you know how powerful your thoughts are? Are we aware? Thoughts matter, but sometimes we don't think about that. We forget that. Our brains believe whatever we tell it, even if it's not true. So a couple weeks ago, I was hanging out with my grandchildren, and one of them is 17 months old. And when she was learning how to walk and stand up, she would stand up and we clap, right? When they're learning how to walk and they stand, we clap for them and we say, yeah, didn't fall. And then they stand back up and they clap and they get excited. Well, we were hanging out and I'd read her a little book, and she was sitting on the couch with her sister, and she opened a book and she pretended she was reading it. And she said a few words, non-words, and she put it down and said, and she just kept clapping until everybody clapped with her. And this went on for 10 minutes. She'd put the book down, she'd pick it up, and she'd pretend she was reading, she'd put it down, and she'd start clapping. And then we'd all clap. And her dad was doing something else, and she did not stop until he joined in. And so what I think is really funny about that is that it's so easy to celebrate little wins with children, right? They fall down and we don't tell them that they're bad because they fell. We tell them to get back up and we celebrate, and we forget to do that for ourselves. And so one of the things that I realized that as we get older, we forget those things because sometimes we think about life, right? Life can be heavy. We have a job, maybe we don't. We have bills to pay.
Got it.
We need to paint our house and fix things up, right? And so life sometimes heavy, right? Sometimes we get weighed down by that. But sometimes what else we get weighed down is by thoughts. Has anybody ever had a bad thought about themselves? Has anybody felt like,
Sure.
give me one?
Oh gosh, when I was younger, I was never thought I could be thin enough. I was too fat, or not patience. Don't have patience. Not good.
Right? Okay. Anybody else? Anybody?
Not good enough,
Not-
not ready enough.
Not good enough,
Yeah.
right? And how about unloved? Maybe a failure? I'm not good at that. I'm a failure. Right? So all these things that someone else told us, or we told ourselves, or we compared ourselves to other people, we carry these weights around. And you know what happens when we have all these thoughts that we believe? Like putting on a pair of tinted glasses. Or what color are these glasses?
Green.
Green. What do you think I see?
Green.
Green. So when I have these glasses on, can I see clearly what is happening around me? Can I see clearly anything? Is anything exactly how it appears when I have these on? No, thank you, Janet. So if I live with a filter on and I'm carrying these weights of beliefs, and I believe that I'm not worthy, or I believe that I'm a failure, that's gonna change the way that I live my life, right? Because you ever heard of the self-fulfilling prophecy, right? Whatever we believe, what we think drives what we feel drives what we do, and what we do drives what we get. If I believe I'm a failure, I'm gonna feel hopeless. And what am I gonna do? Probably not a lot, right? And then what do I get? I fail. But if I believe that I can do something, then I walk with a little more hope and I try differently and then I succeed. I'll tell you a little bit about my story. My story is I had a lot of these weights. I believed I wasn't worthy. I believed I wasn't lovable. I believed I was a failure. I'd been married a couple times and had gone through divorces. I'd been told I was too fat, too short, and too sensitive, and too much. I believed them all. Someone told me it, I believed it. But you know what? I was actually in my trailer and feeling very discouraged. I was in a really difficult marriage. I was in an abusive marriage, and for years I'd been going to counseling, and I was trying. What do I do? If I did enough things, I would be treated well. If I didn't do enough good things, I wasn't treated well. So it fed the lie that I wasn't good enough and I wasn't worthy unless I did everything right. And so when we live from this place, we find things that will validate that. So I was sitting in my trailer, very discouraged, and I've done all these things, and I've been praying, God, please change this, change him. And I'm trying to do everything for myself. I'm trying to be better. I'm trying to, do all the things right. Be skinnier, whatever it took, right, to have a good marriage. I just wanted a good marriage. I didn't want to fail and be a failure one more time. Well, I was discouraged and looking at the floor and just praying. And it was the day of the rummage sale. And it was a beautiful day. The sun was shining, the birds were chirping. I could hear people outside laughing. And I wanted to be outside. I wanted to be out there enjoying this time with everybody. But I was just so discouraged. And I heard God say to me, you're my daughter and I love you. I did not create you for this. And you are disrespecting my child by allowing yourself to be treated like this. And that changed everything. Because no longer was it about me performing enough to change somebody else. Because I can't change anybody, right? I can only take care of me. And I had given the keys of my life and my worth to other people. Let me ask you this. Has anybody ever bought a brand new car? When you bought that brand new car, how did you feel about it? Were you pretty excited about it? Now, can I ask you, would you have handed those keys to that brand new car? Let's say you worked for a really long time, it was your first brand new car. Would you hand those keys off to somebody else to drive it? Just anybody? Would you hand it to somebody that doesn't take care of their own things? Probably not. I know I wouldn't. But we do that with our life and with our work. We often hand our keys off to other people. How sad is that? I had done that, right? So wouldn't it be great if we got to decide what our life looked like? If we could take it back and we could decide how much peace and joy we can have in our life. I mean, my life was not peaceful or joyful. And that's all I wanted. I just wanted to be happy. I wanted to be loved. I wanted to have all those things. But you know what? Your circumstances don't have to dictate that. You get to choose what that looks like. You get to take these off and you get to decide. You get to determine the direction of your life. I did determine the direction of my life. And you know what? It's not anybody else's job to tell me who I am. It's not anybody else's job to take care of me. The one who has my name, that's my job. And it's your job to take care of the one who has your name. And we have to give those keys to other people and other people's thoughts or what we think they think, right? Sometimes it's not even what they think, we just think they think them. So I sit in the recliner and I made a decision to take care of the one that has my name. The daughter of the King of Kings. You know what he says about me? He says that I'm worthy. I'm fearfully and wonderfully made, knit together in my mother's womb. We often hide behind masks. We often hide behind our mistakes. We think, gosh, if anybody knew this about me, they wouldn't want to know me. They wouldn't want to be my friend. We hide behind guilt, shame, we hide things, right? And then if we're wearing a mask, who are we? If we can't be ourselves and we think we're having peace in our life, what kind of peace is that? We can't even be us and have to be this person here and this person here. We can't be our authentic selves. And so what life are we living, right? We can't live our authentic lives. And we have to remember that none of our lives are unharmed. We've all been through stuff, every single one of us. But you're sitting here today, and guess what? You've made it through 100% of the hard things you've ever been through in your life. 100%. So celebrate. Can we celebrate right now? And sometimes we despise those places, right? We are embarrassed by them, but don't despise them. If you look out that window right there, you just see outside, right? But when we have broken things in our life, broken glass, what does it make? Disco balls, prisms, beautiful light shines from broken things. And so sometimes we despise those places, but we shouldn't, because that's a place where we've overcome. We can help other people. So don't go alone either, right? Because when we go through hard things, we get discouraged and we need help. So if we're rock climbing, let's say, and then I get an instructor, I've never done it before, and I'm climbing this rock and they're in front of me, they can look back and say, you know what, I see where your left foot needs to go. I was just there, you know where it needs to go. So put your left foot over here and put your hand up here and you can make it up the top. So we need each other. We need help getting through those hard places. Let's go back to that car you bought, right? That really cool car. You get in your car. How big is that rearview mirror? It's small, right? Sometimes we get so stuck on the past. And we get stuck and we just sit there and think we can't go anywhere else in our life because I'm still thinking about that. But what is this in front of us? The windshield is so big and so beautiful. The rearview mirror reminds us where we've been and what might be coming up. But the windshield is everything we need to see. There's so much more. Life isn't over just because we had a bad day or we did something bad, right? There's so much more life. We still have a life. It's still ours to take. It's still ours to take those keys back. So don't despise those things. As a life coach, which is what I am, I help you navigate and challenge those thoughts that are keeping you stuck. 2 Corinthians 10:5 says to hold every thought captive into the obedience of Christ, and Christ is truth. And whether or not you're a Christian or not, we need to think about our thoughts, right? If we have a child or a grandchild and they were talking poorly about themselves, we would tell them, stop, that's not true about you. So we need to say that to ourselves. We need to question them. Questioning those thoughts looks like, well, God, I have this thought going in my head right now. Well, is that a true thought? Do I have proof that it's true? Does it serve me to think about that thought? I don't know about you. I mean, most of us are women in here. How many thoughts do you have going on in your head at one time? I mean, is there just one, right? But which one do we pluck, right? Which one do we sit on? Usually a negative thought, right? I mean, let's say a helicopter is flying overhead and it's going to drop $1 million out of the sky. And some are ones, fives, tens, hundreds, 50s, whatever. Which one are you going to grab? You're going to grab the hundreds, right? If you could only grab 5. But do we do that with our thoughts? We're not very picky with what we choose to think about. And we need to be pickier. And we need to question them, right? If it's not helpful, find a different thought to stick on. Just because we have a thought doesn't mean it's true. And it doesn't mean that's what we need to be focusing on. And we have all these thoughts in our head. Just because we have them doesn't mean it's true. But you know, we're letting them hang out in there. Do you know that we have more power than we think we do? We get to decide what's in there. We get to decide. And sometimes we give that power up. So there is hope in this. And your brain believes whatever you tell it. So be careful how you speak to yourself. Whatever you want to be, you can be. Walk in it and become it. Stop limiting yourself. We're so guilty of that. Go back to thinking about those little kids, right? How much encouragement do we give them? We don't tell them to stop because they fell down. They don't go, oh, I'm never going to walk. But they look up around them and they see what's possible because everybody around them is walking, right? So let's think about that. We give our thoughts, especially our negative ones, way too much power. So when you walk away with anything today, walk away with this. As you find yourself thinking on something negative, put it through this litmus test. Is it even true? If I think it's true, do I have any proof of that? Does it serve me? Is this helpful? It's not helpful. Find a different one. And what does God say about it? Again, we talked about that. You're fearfully and wonderfully made, knit together in your mother's womb. Jeremiah 29:11 says, God says, I know the plans I have for you, plans to prosper you, not to harm you, plans to give you hope in the future. Has one of your grandkids ever, or some little child ever drawn a picture for you or made something for you and you're like, can you tell me what this is? Who gets to decide what it is? The one who made it. So the one who made us gets to decide our worth. He died for us, right? So I'm going to give you an example of a mind shift. And how many of you have something that you have to do today? What do you have to do?
We have to go to the grocery.
Yeah.
I gotta go give all my money to boss.
Okay, so this is something that sometimes the word have to versus choose to is very powerful. When someone says, I have to do something, I have to do something, we don't have any power, right? But when we choose to, when we own it, we have more power. And that's so big. So I was coaching a woman one day and when she was talking about how I have to take my son to school. I hate it. I mean, it like takes half my morning because he doesn't have his driver's license yet. He's 18 years old. And I'm like, well, do you really have to? And he goes, she said, yes. And I said, well, you're choosing to. No. And I said, well, there's Uber. No, I'm not going to do that. But remember, you're choosing that you don't want to do Uber. It's still a choice. When you realize you're making a choice because you like that outcome better than this one, then that puts the power back in your court and you don't feel like life is controlling you. When we feel life is controlling us, it can be overwhelming. I was coaching someone else and she asked me the whole have to versus choose to. This happens to be my sister. And her daughter and granddaughter are living with them because she was in an abusive relationship and they feel that's the safest place. And she goes, I have to have her live here. And I said, no, you don't. She goes, nobody gets this. And I said, I do. She goes, I'm losing this, I lose this. And I said, but why? You could kick her out, but she won't be safe. And I said, okay, well, but you're choosing that. The consequence of you choosing to let her live with you is that you might lose some of the freedoms in your home. You might have to change some of the ways you do things, right? None of us probably have to go to work anymore. I mean, I do. So I have to go to work, right? I need to work. Why? Because I have bills to pay. I want this house. But if we choose, you still get to choose that because you want the things, you want the consequences, you want the good outcomes that it gives you. You could choose not to go to work and you might have to give up some of the things you have. It's still a choice, right? So again, what we think drives what we feel. What we feel drives what we do, and what we do drives what we get. So I'm coaching this teenager in college, and his biggest fear is failure. So we had a test coming up, and we were coaching through that, talking about studying. And after his test, I said, "How did you do?" He said, "I got a D minus." I said, "Did you study?" And he said, "Hell." But do you know you're having a self-fulfilling prophecy? You have to look at these things like PT, right? Like you go through physical therapy after you blow your knee out. You can either go through physical therapy and deal with a short amount of pain to have a lifelong of success and being able to use your knee, or you forget that part and you live with pain the rest of your life. There's an exchange, there's a choice. So after hearing this information today, one of the most common questions I get is, can you help me take my keys back? Absolutely, yes. I help people like you every day. The next step for you, if you want more of this, is to grab that little piece of paper and fill it out with your name and email. There's also a little check mark at the bottom if you want any encouraging emails sent once in a while. But you deserve to get your keys back. You deserve more peace and joy. I know where a lot of you are. I experienced the pain of a joyless life. It doesn't have to be that way. Today is the day to take the next step for you. And on your table, you'll find little keys. Take one or two so it reminds you. Don't give your keys away. Keep them for yourself. Be picky. And there are butterflies, which you've seen. So we've all dealt with people putting labels on us or even putting our own labels on us. Take whatever you want. Whatever reminds you of something that you needed to hear today about you. We have one life. If you aren't living your life to the full, why not? Let me help you get there. There's probably a lie you're believing in there. I'm in charge of my life. You're in charge of yours. Let's take those keys back and make your life something amazing. Message. You do? And if you want to follow me at all, I have a Facebook. Think Better Live Free. So my card is there. I don't have those on there, but Think Better Live Free. I have Facebook, Instagram. I have a website, thinkbetterlivefree.com, and then I have an email, betterlivefreecoaching@gmail. But I do offer a free one-time call if you want to see what that's all about, what it sounds like, what it looks like. Anybody have any questions?
She's also an awesome painter.
Artist. Other complicated.
She did good work.
You don't have murals, do you?
No, not that kind of stuff.
That's just why
Well, one of our neighbors is having a new trailer put in at the end of Baffin Canal, and she's looking for somebody to paint the mural.
Oh. Well, mural.
Walls.
Love to do that, however, life is a little upside down at the moment, so that takes a little more energy than I've got. A lot more time than you have right now.
Should I go around quick and say your names?
But I do know someone, so if you want her information.
Okay. What was your first?
Linda.
Linda. I know I recognize you, but
Scott.
Scott.
Janet. Anne. Debbie.
Kathy.
Sure.
I was just supposed to show Anne your doors that you